Okay, let's try this one more time. Take out a piece of paper. Let's see if you remember how to do this. Ready? Okay, I'll give you 3 minutes. Uh, Please write out the correct citation format for this paper. Thirty seconds. Twenty-nine seconds. Okay, let's see how you did. First one is author names. From here, start with level, comma, first name, abbreviation period, sorry, first name, abbreviation period, space, middle name, abbreviation period, comma, space, only two authors, so and the ampersand symbol, space, last author, last name, comma, space, first name, period, space, middle name, period. Then we move on to the year, space, open parenthesis. The year is over here, 1955. Close parenthesis, period, space. Article title in sentence casing. So first word and proper nouns capitalized, everything else lowercase. So not like this. You have to change it only, in this case, only the F is capital. Okay, and then period, space, journal title. The journal title is here. In this case, you can use its casing as a title. So educational psychological measurement in italics, 斜体, comma, space, volume number is here, volume 15. End italics, 斜体结束, parenthesis, issue number, issue 3, parenthesis, comma, space, page range is here, 291, n dash, 304, period, space, and then the URL, which is here. If you got everything, raise your hand. If you missed one, raise your, oh, good. If you missed one, raise your hand. Good. If you missed two, raise your hand. Good. Missed three. All right, we're improving. Better than last time. Good job. So keep working on this. Now, you might notice that this page has two dates, right? I want you to use this one, issue published 1955. But there's another one here, first published 1955. What's the difference? It looks like the same date. Well, sometimes a journal will first publish papers online and only later give it a volume and issue number. So for example, look at these. Published online 29 April 2025. That was yesterday. So if you look here, cite this article, it gives you some options. APA, great. So author name, comma, first name, period, year, title, journal, and the page number is 1 to 47. And then the URL. You'll notice there's no volume number, no issue number. It has not yet been collected into a volume and issue. So we're looking at latest articles. If you want to look at volume and issue, you would go to list of issues. So here you can choose by volume number and year. Let's go to volume 38. And under that, it has 12 issues per year. Let's go to issue 9. So here, for example, this paper, it says published online 22 July 2024. But if you look at the citation, author, year, title, journal title, and then you have volume and issue. And then you have a different page range in the thousands. Usually a journal will use continuous page numbers for each volume. So this journal has 12 issues per volume. So the page numbers will continue all the way to issue 12 and then begin again for the next volume. So This is why I want you to look at this issue published year, not the first published year. Sometimes these are different. Okay, let's move on. So we have covered the basics of how to write an APA citation for journal articles. When you look for journal articles online, sometimes they will have their own web page, like this web page or this web page. But often you will find these papers in databases. So papers on a specific subfield or specific area will be collected into a journal, but there's usually more than one journal for each area. So how do you find the papers that you want? Instead of going to the web page of each different journal, often there will be databases that collect all the papers from all the journals in a similar area, uh, so that you can search for everything in the same place. But this can make citation a little confusing. You have to recognize what is a database and what is a journal, and ignore the database. APA style does not require you to list the database. By the way, database in Chinese, 资料库. So for example, on this web page, PubMed is the name of the database. We don't need this. The name of the journal is here, but it's a shortened title. It doesn't show you the full title. So instead, you'll need to look for a link that says full text. And then click there. When you click on the full text link, it will bring you to the specific page for that paper. Here you will see the full title of the journal. And it will tell you that this is actually collected in a different database. Again, ignore this. We don't need the database. And it'll also tell you the company that publishes the journal. We also don't need this. So just pay attention to the journal title. And then it'll give you volume, maybe issue, year, page. And if you go down, this is a picture, I can't go down, but if you go down, you'll find all the other information. Now you'll notice here that it only tells you the volume. It says volume 207. It doesn't tell you the issue. Sometimes a journal will not have issues or will not have volumes. It will only give you one number. In that case, for APA style, we skip the issue. So if this journal only has one number here instead of two, we skip the second number. We go directly from italicized 15 to non-italicized comma, 直接从斜体的15到直体的逗点 if there's only one number. Okay, so this is reminding you to ignore the database. Now, there are a number of databases where you could find the paper that you're looking for. For you guys, the topics that you might choose, these are some common databases. Each of them are slightly different. So for example, academia.edu, it says .edu, but it's actually a for-profit company. And this one, ResearchGate. These two databases are user maintained, which means that researchers themselves upload their own papers and then fill in the information themselves. This means that the information may not be reliable. The research may or may not be published. You have to check if there is a journal title. And the data about the paper, right, the journal, volume, issue, could also be wrong. So you have to double check if you find a paper on these two databases. ERIC is a database mainly for education, and it's maintained by the US government. Usually that's nothing special, but in the current Trump administration, I don't know if they'll keep this database up and for how long, but it currently still exists. Uh, JSTOR, this is a database more for humanities, and it has a special feature where if you don't have access to a paper in this database, like you find the paper but you can't read it, you can create a free account and you can read up to, I think, 5 or 10 free papers every month. When you look for research materials, okay, how much time do I want to spend on this? Okay, so here's how a research paper is created. We talked about how researchers do the research, they write up the paper, they send it out to other experts to review and make sure things are correct. And then after that, the journal will accept the paper to publish in the paper journal and online. Now, up to this point, everything is free. It takes money to do research, but that's not related to publication. You, the researcher does not earn money for writing the results. The other experts don't make money for reviewing the results. The journal does not pay anybody to publish the paper. But after the paper gets published, the company that owns the journal will ask you to pay money to read the paper. It is completely unfair, but that's how it works. Um, Now, most of the people who read expert research are also researchers and students. Most people in the general public usually don't read um, research papers. So the journal publishers know this. They also know that schools usually have more money than individual people. So the cost of each paper is very expensive. Let's see if we can find this. So because I'm using the school's internet, our school has subscribed to this journal. More accurately, this journal is part of a database and our school has subscribed to the database. So you can read the full article. But if, let's see if I can find a journal where the school has not subscribed. Yeah, okay, so our school has not subscribed to this journal. So if you want to read a paper, you have to pay. Where's the paper? Here we go. Buy this issue for 25 USD. That's like 750 NT for this issue. I'm pretty sure you don't want to pay that much money for, like maybe you only need one paper. So these prices are usually set for libraries and schools to pay. And that's why you should always check if our library has a subscription to the source that you want. If you cannot access it through our school library, There are other options, but that gets a bit too detailed. If you want to read a paper and you can't access it, please tell me. I will try to get it for you. Okay, there's another quiz. Great. Take out a piece of paper. Let's see if you can do this one. Ready? All right, 5 minutes. One more minute. Okay, you ready? Let's take a look at the answer. Number one, the authors, beginning with the first one, Elhai, J.D., comma, second author, Dvorak, R.D., comma, third author, Levine, J.C., comma, ampersand, last author, Hall, B.J., period. The year is here, 2017, period. The title is kind of long. Capital P, problematic smartphone use, colon, and then this is the subtitle. Sorry, hang on. And then this is the subtitle. The first word of the subtitle is also capitalized all the way to the end of the title, period, space. Number 4, this is the journal title. Journal of Affective Disorders in italics, comma, 207, no issue, end of italics, comma, page range 251 to 259. This is an n dash, period, and then the URL is here. Okay, if you got everything, raise your hand. If you missed one, raise your hand. Missed two, missed three. Yeah, so still need a little more practice. Now, notice how I asked you to do this. I gave you an example of another paper and asked you to use this example to help you for this paper. This is the fastest and easiest way to remind you, to help you remember how to write this kind of entry. Later, if you look in your handout, I think near the end of your handout is a whole list of examples. So you'll need to practice using examples to help you for other entries. Okay, so we have explained how to write one of these. These appear at the end of your paper, or the end of your essay, right? You have a title, you have your essay, and then at the end you will write references, and then you will begin making a list like this. So how do you order your list? Some people might think, oh, I'll put them in order of appearance. The first one first, the second one second, and so on. No. Some people say, oh, I'll give each one a number. And in the essay, I'll write number one, number two. And at the bottom in the references, I'll say number one, blah, number two, blah. No. The order should be alphabetical. According to the first word of each entry, put them in alphabetical order. A first, Z last. If you have two entries that begin with the same letter, like in this example, go to the second letter. If the second letter is the same, go to the third letter and keep going. If you have two entries by the exact same authors, in the exact same order, if you have 3 authors, the first paper is by A, B, and C. The second paper is by A, C, and B. These are not the same. Put them in alphabetical order. But if both papers are by A, B, and C, it's exactly the same, then you put them in order by year. So the early paper goes first, the later paper goes next. What if, like in this example, the author is the same and the year is also the same? Then you alphabetize by the first letter of the title. Now, if you remember, in the middle of your essay, you have to give the author's last name and the year, and the reader will take that information and look for it in the references at the end. If you have 2 papers by the same author in the same year, the reader will not know which paper you're talking about. So you have to differentiate them. You differentiate them by adding a letter. The first paper in the references list, add a lowercase a after the year. The second paper, add a lowercase b, and so on. So we're putting them in order of the article title and then adding a letter to the first and then the second. Okay, clear? Okay, let's see what's next. Yes, okay, so sometimes you will want to cite a Wikipedia page. A Wikipedia page is not an academic source, but you may want to cite it anyways. In this case, you can't just, like, Wikipedia pages change. They are edited all the time. So you can't just cite it. You have to make sure you have a stable version. So if you go to the top right of the Wikipedia page, click on View History, or in Chinese, 页面历史. You are looking at the first one, and then it will list older versions. You can tell that this is the current version because the word current is not a link. Right? Look at this one. This one is blue. You can click on this one. But this one is black. You cannot click on it. So this is your current version. So when you cite a Wikipedia page, use the date of the current version. If you need to give the URL, the web address, don't just copy from the main Wikipedia page because the page will change, but the URL will remain the same. Instead, click on this date and it will give you a stable URL that will not change for this version. Use that. Another thing that you may want to cite is YouTube. Now again, YouTube is not an academic source, but you may want to cite it anyways. If you need to give the URL, do not copy the thing at the top. Click Share, and then copy this. This is the stable URL for the YouTube video. Okay, so we've covered the basics, but sometimes you will hit some special cases, like there's no page, there's no date, there's no author, it's in a different language, random shit. For that, you can click on these links, see if there are ways to help you. And if you still can't figure it out, you can talk to me and we'll work to figure it out together. Okay, foreign languages. Some of you might want to cite sources in Chinese. I think that's fine. For this class, if your source is in Chinese, you only have to translate the first word of the entry. Maybe it's the author's last name, maybe it is the first word of the title, and you only need that one word in English because you need to know where to put your article in the references. You need to have an alphabetical order. But for everything else, you can keep it in Chinese. But if you cite an article in French, that's a bad example. If you cite an article in Arabic, then you do need to offer some kind of translation. Okay, mandatory ChatGPT warning. ChatGPT will give you fake references. It does not care. If it sounds plausible, it will just throw it at you. But if you go and double check, it probably does not exist. You can use ChatGPT to talk about the ideas, but never, never, never trust a reference from ChatGPT. It will give you fake papers. It will give you fake citations. Also, it may use the wrong citation style. We've been practicing, right? Capital, lowercase, italics, Roman, period, comma, space, whatever. ChatGPT may get it wrong. And then finally, do not cite ChatGPT. It is not academic. Nobody knows if you can trust it. And like, if you accidentally delete it, nobody can find it. So don't cite ChatGPT. If you do use AI for this assignment, please keep it in the background. It should not appear in your essay. And just a reminder, for GPT-4, which is the latest free version of ChatGPT, the accuracy rate of its information is a bit under 80%. So even if you're just asking it for information, everything it says will have a between 20 and 25% probability of being wrong. This does not mean if you ask it 5 questions, you can trust 4 answers. It means every single answer, there is a 20 to 25% chance that it is wrong. Every answer. So please, you can use AI to help guide you, but you must double check everything it says. Okay, so let me explain the assignment for your research essay. I'll come back to this later. I don't care about your topic, but your essay must cite at least 4 different kinds of sources. And at least 2 of those kinds of sources must be academic. So this document, APA 7th Examples, has an example citation for many, many kinds of sources. We've been talking about journal articles, online magazine article, print magazine article, online newspaper, print newspaper, blog post, book, edited book chapter, dictionary, report by a group, report by an individual. You must have at least 4 different kinds of source. And within these 4 different kinds, at least 2 kinds must be academic. These are academic sources. You must use at least 2 of these kinds of sources. Now, for this assignment, you guys are college students. You should not be citing other college students. So other college students, bachelor's thesis, honors thesis, senior thesis, if it's by an undergraduate, don't cite it. But you can cite master's theses, 硕士论文. The other thing is government publications are not academic. If it is a government report, it is not academic. Governments are not always serving the truth. So if you cite a government report, it will not count as an academic source. Okay, let's take a short break. When we come back, I will introduce these kinds of sources, how they are different, what they look like, that kind of thing. Okay, let's talk about these different kinds of academic sources. Peer-reviewed journals are the best kind. The journal papers go through the review process I talked about earlier, and we saw an online example of a journal earlier today. I have brought with me a copy of a paper journal. If you want to see what a journal looks like in real life, you can come and take a look at this. The next kind are peer-reviewed books, otherwise known as academic books. Academic books, I have also brought a book. This is my book. I wrote this book. If you're interested, you can come flip through this. The difference between an academic book and a normal book, which is called a trade book, is that a trade book does not get reviewed for the information. It only goes through editing for the language. An academic book gets reviewed and then also edited, but not edited as much. But if you only look at what the book looks like, you may not be able to tell the difference. So I will give you some examples of big academic publishers. And if you see a book published by one of those companies, it will probably be academic. If you're not sure, you can always bring it to me and we will look at it together. The third thing is an edited collection of peer-reviewed essays. I also have brought a copy with me today. Looks like a book, but each chapter is by a different person. And the whole book is also reviewed by experts in the field. These are not considered as rigorous as journal articles because journal articles are reviewed one by one, but articles in essay collections are reviewed together as a book. So it's possible that the whole book is pretty interesting, but there might be one or two chapters that are not very good. The fourth one, conference proceedings. So I'm sure you know every year we researchers like to gather together and listen to each other talk about what's going on, what's the latest research. That's called an academic conference. Sometimes conferences will ask researchers who present their research to also give the paper version of their research, and those papers will be put together into a book. Those are conference proceedings. Conference proceedings are less rigorous than the first three kinds because conference papers are reviewed, but they are reviewed before they are presented. So like if I want to attend a conference, if I want to present my research at a conference, I will write an abstract proposal. So it's like 2 or 3 paragraphs explaining what I'm doing, what kind of results I found, why it is interesting. And I submit that 1-page thing to the conference. And the conference organizers look through these abstracts and accept the proposals that they think might be interesting. After I get an email saying that I have been accepted, then I will start writing the research paper or the presentation. So the review is not as rigorous as the first three kinds, but it is still academic because there is still a review process. Next, we have PhD dissertations, 博士论文. These are usually quite rigorous because a dissertation Okay, a dissertation is a special kind of book. A book you write to explain something to the reader. But you write a dissertation to prove to your teachers that you know what you're talking about. It's not exactly the same. So, for example, dissertations will often have a lot of very technical and detailed information. And it will also talk about more about like the history of this topic. Now it is quite rigorous because the teachers have to make sure that the research is good and it works. But they are usually not considered as high quality as the first two kinds, peer-reviewed journals and peer-reviewed books. You can still cite them because they're usually not bad. And then the last thing you can cite is a master's thesis, 硕士论文. Here's the thing. Master's theses are not expected to do original research. They are expected to organize the existing research and offer some new ideas, but it's usually not original research or not very significant original research. But for you guys, you just need to find reliable information. And master's theses are reliable, mostly. So if you come across a master's thesis, you can cite that too. But as I said before the break, you cannot cite undergraduate theses and you cannot cite government reports. If you do cite them, they will not count as academic sources. Okay, so how can you tell if a journal is an academic journal? You go to the web page. Okay, first of all, if it's in a database, it's probably academic. But if you go to the journal web page and you go to journal information, you click on journal description, and in the introduction, it will use the words peer reviewed. This tells you that this is an academic journal. What about books? Well, here are some of the biggest academic book publishers out there. If a book is published by one of these publishers, it is probably very likely an academic book. So the first kind, or the first three kinds, are university presses. Many big universities have their own publishing organization to publish academic books. The biggest one in Taiwan is NTU Press, 台大出版社. In other places, the name might be University of something something press or something something university press. Bloomsbury academic, Brill. Okay, yeah, the one you have to be careful about is Peter Lang. Peter Lang is often considered a self-publishing company. Basically, you send them your book, they publish it. No review, no editing. The exception is if you propose a series of books. Like you have a series editor, and the editor will say, oh, we're doing this series of books. If you have a book that is related to this topic, you can send it to us. And the series editor will find people to do the peer review. So if you find a book series published by Peter Lang, those are academic. But if it's just a regular one-off book by Peter Lang, it is not academic. There are other academic book publishers out there. So if you're not sure if the book you found is academic, you can bring it to me and we'll look at it together. Now, where do you find these academic sources? As I mentioned last week, a simple Google search will not help you. But Google offers a service called Google Scholar, and that is specifically for research. You can also look at the very bottom of Wikipedia pages where it will tell you where the author found the information. You can look at the bottom of whatever paper you found and look at their references, see if there's anything interesting that you want to look for. And by the same logic, you can look at the end of academic books or any nonfiction book and to see if they have drawn on academic sources that you can look for yourself. If you're looking for bibliographies and reference lists, the best place to look is at the end of a PhD dissertation. Because again, those people need to prove to their teachers that they know what they're talking about. They have to prove to their teachers that they have read all of the important stuff related to their research. So if you look at the end of a PhD dissertation, it will usually be like 20 pages of references, and maybe you'll find something interesting there. Okay, so this is what Google Scholar looks like. There is no link to get to Google Scholar. You have to type Google Scholar. You can search for Google Scholar, or you can remember the web address scholar.google.com. And then it works just like Google. You enter your keywords, and it will give you a list of related results. If a PDF is available online, it will usually give you a link directly to the PDF on the right. If you click on the main link, it will usually bring you to the web page for that source. You can also do an advanced search by year. You can sort the results by relevance or by date. Now, one thing I have to warn you, if you click on this cite link, it will give you an example citation. And you might think, oh, great, I don't have to write it. I just have to click on cite and then copy and paste. No. Google Scholar citations are very inaccurate. Google produces these citations according to whatever information its search robot can grab from the web page. Sometimes it does not grab all of the information. And therefore, if you click on the cite button, the citation that it gives you may be missing some information. So you do have to go into the web page or into the PDF and look for the specific information yourself. Okay, here is an example of the bottom of a Wikipedia page. As you know, Wikipedia also cannot publish original research. Everything on Wikipedia is based on a different source. So in the article itself, if it uses a source, it will have a footnote, and those are referred to in the references section. And then after that, you may have a section called sources and further reading. These are sources that did not appear in the article, but are related to the topic. So some of these may be academic. Um, for example, this Italian book is academic. And over here, look, European Journal of Education, volume 19, number 1. This is academic. ELT Journal, this is academic. This is published by, I think this is Peter Lang. So this is also academic. Multilingual Matters is also an academic publisher. It's a smaller one. Oxford University Press, big academic publisher. So at the end of a Wikipedia page, you can also find a lot of sources. Yes, so that concludes this presentation. I know this is not easy. This is an entire new world of information that you probably have not encountered before. So if during the process you have any questions, please just come and talk to me. Now, as I said, for your essay, you have to have 4 different kinds of sources, including at least 2 academic kinds. So, you can cite as many sources as you want, but within those sources, you must have 2 different kinds of academic source. Maybe a journal paper and a book, academic book, maybe a journal paper and a book chapter, right? 2 different kinds. And the total number of sources must, the total number of kinds of sources must be at least 4 kinds. So we can look at this PDF file, and you'll see the many different kinds of sources that exist. Let's take a look at some of the common kinds and see how to write a citation for them. First one, just to review one more time, journal article, authors, year, article title, journal title, volume, issue, page, URL. You might also want to cite a book. Books are slightly different. Authors, the same. year the same. Then the book title is in italics, but capitalized like a sentence. So first word and proper nouns in capitals, everything else is lowercase, but it's italicized, 斜体. And then the publisher. This book is published by the American Psychological Association. And then finally, if you can find it online, you should probably give the DOI web address. If it's not a DOI, I don't care. You might also want to cite a book chapter. Pay attention. These authors wrote the chapter. They did not edit the book. They only wrote one chapter. Cite the name of the people who wrote your chapter at the beginning of your entry. So these three authors wrote the chapter, year, title of the chapter. So far, this all looks like a journal article citation. But then you need to give the information for the whole book. Eds means editors. So these are the people who put together the whole book. So this chapter is in the book edited by these people. Notice how the order is different. For the chapter author's last name, first name, middle name. But for the book editors, first name, last name, first name, middle name, last name. The order is different. So after the last name, no period, space, comma, capital E, eds, period, parenthesis, comma, space. Then you have the book title. This is the same as for a regular book. But at the end, no period, parenthesis. You need to tell people where in the book is the chapter. What is the first page of the chapter? What is the last page of the chapter? So at the end of the book title, no period, space, parenthesis. PP means more than one page. PP period, space, first page, end dash, last page, parenthesis, period. Finally, the publisher, and period. Okay, this note is to tell you if you want to include the DOI web address, you do not need to go to the next line. This is a natural line break. There's not enough space over here. So it automatically went to the next line. You do not have to go to the next line if there is enough space. Okay, a report by a group author. This is not academic. Okay, let's look at the academic ones first. Sorry. Conference session. This is academic. Author. And the date, you also have to include the dates of the conference. Not just the day that this person presented their research. The dates for the full conference. First day of the conference to last day of the conference. So begin with the year, comma, space, the month, space, and then first day, end dash, last day. If it crosses months, then, for example, August 31, end dash, September 2. The end dash should be between its month day, right? So month day, end dash, month day, if it's more than 1 month. Period. Title of the presentation, in italics, but only the first word and proper nouns are capitalized. No period, bracket, 中括号, bracket. Capital C, conference session. This tells the reader what this is. It is a conference session. Close bracket, period, space, the name of the conference. Comma, space, the city where the conference occurred. Comma, if it was in the United States, the state abbreviation. The United States has How many states? 50 states. Each state has a 2-letter abbreviation. IL is Illinois, TX is Texas, WA is Washington. If you don't know the abbreviation, you have to check online. So if it's in the United States, city, comma, state abbreviation, comma, and then country, United States. If it is not in the United States, you only need the city and the country. Period, comma, sorry, period, space. And if there is a web link, you can include the web link. You do not have to include it because it's not a DOI. Okay, next, dissertation. This says dissertation from a database, but you don't have to include the database. I don't care about the database. So here's how to cite a dissertation. Author, this is the same. Year, this is the same. Title, this is just like a regular book. Italics, but only sentence casing. So first word and proper nouns are capitalized. Everything else is lowercase. At the end of the title, no period. Bracket, 中括号. You need to tell the reader that this is a doctoral dissertation. If you're citing a master's thesis, write master's thesis. Comma, the school. Which school is this student studying at? Bracket, period. That's it. This is the database. I don't care about the database. You don't have to tell me the database. So this entry would end here. This is the end of the entry. Okay, sometimes you will find what's called a preprint. Some researchers, especially in the sciences, will upload their research paper to a database full of papers that have not been reviewed. They have not been reviewed. Therefore, preprints are not academic. They could be interesting. You might want to cite them, but they are not academic. If you cite them, it looks like a report. So authors, year, title in sentence casing, and then this is the name of the database. You don't need a URL if you don't want to. Okay, some other things that you might want to cite. Report by a group author. In the author space, list the name of the group. So in this example, the report was written by the World Health Organization. Year, title in italicized sentence casing, and URL if you want to, I don't care. Report by individual authors. Name of the authors, year, title of the report by, title of the report in italicized sentence casing, and then the organization that published the report. So when should you use which one? When to use the group author, when to use individual authors? Use individual authors. If you cannot find the authors, then use group author. Let's see what else we have here. YouTube video. If you want to cite a YouTube video, the author is the name of the account. Copy the name of the account exactly the same. For example, usually we would write a lowercase t for the word the, but in this case, the name of the account is above the noise with a capital T. So you just copy the account name and paste it here. If the account name is a person's name, do not reverse the order. Do not abbreviate the names. Copy it exactly as it looks on the page. Then you have the year, comma, month and day that the video was published, period. Title of the video in sentence casing italicized. But if the title ends with a period, skip the period in the title. In this case, the title ends with a question mark, so you have to include it. But if it ends with a period, skip the period. Then brackets tell the reader that this is a video, bracket, period, finally here. And then the website name is YouTube. Finally, include the share link. What else do we have? You want to cite a podcast? If you want to, it's here. If you want to cite a tweet, it's here. Web page. Okay, so this is the same as a report. Author, year, but also month and day. Do you have to have month and day for a report? No, okay, so it's not the same as a report. Sorry. Author, year, comma, month and day. Title in italicized sentence casing. Title of the website. You'll notice that it uses the exact same format as the website uses. The website is just called How Stuff Works Like This. So just copy the name of the website and paste it. And then the URL if you want. Same for web page on a news website. Same thing. Let's see what else you might need. Okay, so there's one kind of source that the formatting is kind of strange. If you cite a blog post, it looks just like a web page with one big exception. For a web page, this would be italics, this would be Roman. But for a blog, you flip it. The title of the blog post is Roman, and the title of the blog is italics for some strange reason. Online newspaper article. Same thing. Title of the article is Roman. Title of the newspaper is italics. Online magazine article, same thing. Title of the piece is Roman. Title of the magazine is italics. Okay, so far, do you have questions? Okay, I want to say one more thing, and then I'll lead you guys to do some practice. Oh, I shouldn't have closed that. The one thing I want to say is this. You have to have these sources, right? Some of you are not sophomores. Some of you are seniors. Some of you have already begun writing your senior thesis or even finished writing your senior thesis. If you want, you can take your literature review, make some changes in the introduction, some changes in the conclusion, and submit that as your research essay. But you have to pay attention to two things. One, just because you've written a literature review does not mean that your formatting is perfect. It could still be wrong. You do have to check again. Two, I'm not asking for original research. So in your literature review, take out all the mentions of your research. Sometimes you'll say, oh, this paper is related to our research because blah, blah, blah. Take that out. I don't want to see anything related to your original research. And so you also have to add a new introduction and a new conclusion because the literature review is only part of your thesis. It doesn't have an introduction. It doesn't have a conclusion. You have to add those two parts. So you can use your thesis literature review as a beginning, but you do have to still do this assignment. You still have to do work. Okay, that's it. So far, any questions? You can use your literature review, but you have to make sure it fulfills the requirements of this assignment. Sorry? 4 kinds of source, including at least 2 academic kinds. Yeah, and you also have to make sure that your citation format is correct. And then add an introduction, add a conclusion, take out any mention of original research. Yeah, but you can, if you want to do that, you can do that. No, you do have to fulfill this. Yeah. Okay, yeah, okay. Grading. So I will grade this essay only looking at your sources and citations. If you don't have four different kinds, if you only have three different kinds, I will take away 2 points out of 30. If you only have one academic kind, I will take away 2 points out of 30. Every detail that you get wrong, every kind of detail that you get wrong, for each kind of detail, I will take away 2 points out of 30. So like, for example, if you forget this period after the A, I will take away 2 points. If you forget this period, I will take away 2 points. If you forget this comma, I will take away 2 points. If you forget to make this italic, I will take away 2 points. Every unique error, I will take away 2 points out of 30 points. So you can only make 15 mistakes. After that, it's a zero. No, 14 mistakes. Your 15th mistake will be a zero. This includes the first half. In the middle of your essay, right? You have to write this kind of thing. You have to have citation tags, right? Like this. If you write these the wrong way, I will also take away 2 points per error. So like if you forget this comma, that's 2 points. If you forget the year, that's 2 points. If you put the name outside of the parenthesis when it should be inside, that's 2 points. This is a very detail-focused assignment. The thing that you have to do is not hard to understand. The difficulty is in making sure that you do it right. So to help you with that, let's do a little bit of practice. Okay, hang on. I should stop sharing that. I will share this. Share screen. Start. Okay, this is my phone. And I have some academic sources here. And we'll practice some of this together. So for example, this one. This is an academic book. Title, author. Okay, yeah, so title, sorry, cover, half title. Oh, there is no half title. This is the full title. So this is the title page. Here you have the author, you have the title, you have the subtitle, you have the publisher, Edinburgh University Press. And then the next page is the copyright page. This is different from Chinese books. In Chinese books, the copyright page is at the end. In English books, the copyright page is after the title. So here you have the publication year. And I think that's all you need. Right? So we can practice writing this together. Uh, I think I need Microsoft Word for this. Yeah. Okay, so we can practice writing the citation for this book together. The first thing we need is an example. Let's see. Authored book. Okay, book. So we begin with the author's last name. The author's name is Norris. And then the abbreviated first name of the author, Christopher. That's a C. It's a C, period. Right? Christopher Norris. Then the next thing is the year in parentheses. So that's parenthesis 2013, parenthesis, period. Next is the title, italicized in sentence casing. Okay, so we look for the title on the title page. It's called, okay, italicized philosophy outside in. You'll notice I'm using regular capitalization, not title capitalization. Then there's a subtitle. First word of the subtitle is also capitalized. Critique of academic reason, period. Okay, what's next? Publisher in Roman, so not italicized. Okay, the publisher is Edinburgh University Press. Edinburgh University Press. And then finally, remember to do this. Okay? Okay, let's do an edited book collection, a chapter from a book, if I can find one. This one. Okay, so this book is called Sound Objects. Then we have, okay, it doesn't have a title page, but it has a copyright page and it has a table of contents. Great. Let's cite chapter 2, page 33, Pierre Schaeffer and the recorded sound source. So page 33. Nope. What is that? Oh, are we missing pages in this book? Okay, here we go. Okay, we begin with the chapter author, John Dack. D comes before N, so we put it here. Dack, comma, J period. Year. Okay. When was this book published? Here, 2019. Okay. 2019. Okay, then we need the title of the chapter. Pierre Schaeffer. Schaeffer is a name, so it's capitalized, but the rest is in lowercase. Source. Is that right? Yes. Roman, lowercase, period. Okay, then we need the editors of this book. Who edited this book? Let's see. You can't see this. Two people, James A. Steintrager and Ray Chow. So, okay, editors, regular order, first name, and first name, middle name, last name. Okay, so J. A. Steintrager and R. Chow. And then no period, you need to add the tag eds, which means editors. So this is EDS. Okay. Then the book title in italics is just called sound objects. Okay. Then page range. Where does it begin? Where does it end? Okay, so parenthesis PP. Okay, where does it begin? Let's see. You can use the table of contents, but it can be dangerous. The beginning page will always be accurate. It says here it begins on page 33. So 33, N dash, but it may not end on page 52. Some books will have a blank page between the end of one chapter and the beginning of the next. So we have to double check. Let's go to page 53, 52-ish. Okay, this is page 53, beginning of chapter 3. And the last chapter ends on page 52. Yes, so in this case, it does end on 52. Okay, what's next? Page period and then publisher. Okay, period and then the publisher. Who is the publisher? Duke University Press. Ta-da! That's it. Okay, so now we've seen how to build the 3 most common types of citations. We have a little time left. I want you to use this time to think of a topic that you want to research. Start looking for information. Collect your sources. Next week, hang on, let me. Right. Next week, according to the syllabus, okay, we have finished this one. Your homework is to choose a topic and then gather sources, make a plan. So next week, we're going to have our first research conference. It says draft 1. Basically, like, do as much as you can. Gather sources, put it together. Why don't we add another conference? Let's meet 4 times. So next week, bring me your sources and your topic, and we'll talk about if the topic is a good topic, whether you have found good sources, that kind of thing. So May 8th, we're just going to talk about the topic and your sources. May 15, you should finish your first draft, and we'll talk about your first draft. May 22, you should finish your second draft, and we'll talk about your second draft. Then May 29, we're going to watch a movie. You're going to upload your third draft. And then June 5, we're going to talk about your third draft. And then after that, you have to upload it for me to grade. And you'll also have to write course reflections. Course reflections are here, course reflections. And then that's the end of the semester. So here you have draft 3. I'll change the dates later, but here draft 3, you have final draft. Here are 2 examples. Please only focus on the literature review section. The other parts are original research. Okay, like if you see, for example, this person is citing, where is it? I just saw an example where he cites a lot of people. Okay, yeah, so here, If you see he's citing more than one person in the same citation tag, this person is putting the order in alphabetical order, but I want you to put it in numerical order according to date. So the earliest one first, the latest one last. But you really shouldn't be doing this. You should be devoting one paragraph per source. You shouldn't be collecting all of these sources into one place. Yeah, okay. So you have 4 minutes left until the bell rings. You can think about your topic and what sources you want to use.